802.
Hopefully a short presentation.
Who's coming?
I think it's the Florida Gas. I think something about knowing where to dig and that sort of thing. It's not
Did they open it?
Oh, the guy
We downloaded it, and now we have it. It's gonna be part of the same program, okay, but we have the environment reach.
Good. That's great.
I brought
And they
you
tore the front of my house
a
to get the
report.
gas from there to go to the next property line.
The Spanish links.
really.
And
Yeah.
somebody wanted it in their backyard, and so they tore the whole thing apart.
Somebody put a pipe in my, did you see that? Somebody put a pipe in my a line that goes to the lake to pull the water out of my pump down into the ground coming up. Henry said he was going to talk with a guy that was looking at the sprinklers like a week or so ago.
It's about a tree.
A PVC pipe with a head with a like a filter down into my line, and now my sprinklers won't.
Keep my driveway.
Sure, because they just,
You know, so I can
Well,
do jump in there,
or just a screen.
work on the house,
No, there's
and take it
I
out.
don't know what it is. It's like a PVC pipe this big.
Yeah, if they've got a screen.
You know, temporary
Comes
computer.
up to the ground with a
container.
Container, like a mini container people use to store stuff.
Audio.
Either way, when they tapped it, they lost the price.
Actually,
Missing
I had to call my guy to come and take it out. I don't know what he did.
Let us know.
Have you called your guy?
Pull up the
Have
ACC
you called your guy yet?
Well, it's not a permanent fix.
Let me know what you're gonna do.
That is my handy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If they can sign it right now, but at least they know it's there.
Yeah.
If you have ACC.
No, I don't.
So let her know, thinking about it.
But when you do it, you get
No, I mean, that's one thing when we stay on this, you're gonna put my
I know.
It's some kind of a pond, this one.
We just do that because if somebody asked a question, because it's in
Things for approval or Ernesto.
The application,
I bet you.
I don't know, but I brought another copy that we kept in the
We
office.
got a copy now.
Yeah, so
Vanessa's
that way
already talking.
you can, yeah, we were talking about it.
All right.
Yeah, we gotta, she wrote this check and I have it probably in the house put away because we said, she told me not to send it. Now she said to pay it, even though they owe us like about $3,000. No?
Now they owe us $3,000.98.
And 90%, I'm gonna send them the check.
Okay, so the only one we're missing is that check, the 1095, and I wanted also,
I'll find it.
okay, so let me just review it. Okay, there is another, and you will see in your financials, there is one check from Marbella irrigation that have been not been cashed for a long time.
You know, we didn't read it, I gave it back in, what's his name, Boyd.
No, actually, no, as a matter of fact, Johan is the one that says that he has been asking for that check, and that's why, but that's okay, you're sure going. Okay, because, you know, have been running the
I tore the
system for a long
signatures
time.
off.
Okay, so we're going to put a void on that one, because it's too much.
It didn't pass it, like, it didn't pass it.
Going on and on and on.
If anyone wants an agenda and has minutes from the previous meeting. All right, we can go ahead and get started. We'll make it quick. Good evening, everybody. Call the meeting to order. 8:06. Roll call. The whole board is here. That's good enough. Approval of minutes of the previous meeting. We had these sent to us a while back. We should have reviewed them. Does anybody have any questions, additions, changes to the minutes? Vote. There's a motion to approve them.
So move.
Second.
Yes.
All in favor?
I hate the way they spell my name every time, though.
My fault.
No, it's just, I hate the way they spell my name every time. That's what they did to me.
How's this spelled?
W-O-O-L-F.
Oh, up top it's spelled right.
Oh, really?
Up top it's spelled
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking
Here
at.
it's spelled right.
You don't get picky. They're talking about a different Richard Wolf.
Right, this is a different guy, it's not me.
All right.
Okay, so.
Barbara,
Approved. Okay, we already have a few cases to be sent over for collection. I don't know, well, actually, right next to each name has some sort of like code and status after the notices and so on and so forth. The one that says PP, that means that they are in payment plan with our office unless it has PP and it says Florido, okay, which is then is with Floridos. We have a few that we can start sending them over to the attorney. I don't know if you want to go one by one, or you want to decide to do the first 5 with the highest balances, or I don't know how. It's up to you
to send over for
to start collections.
Collections,
Yeah,
we
to
just
start
send
leading.
it, collections we send immediately, it's foreclosures we need to think about.
Right.
Send them over, anything over, what do you want to say, 90 days, 60 days?
Well, I think collections, you should send anybody who's over 90 days.
I will
She
say-
can work on 90 days under.
All these people that we have ready are ready to be
They
sent to
haven't
the
paid.
attorneys. Exactly.
They haven't
That they
paid.
have not presented any proof of payment, they have not contacted us whatsoever. They're just there, they got their notices and,
And they don't care.
exactly.
Right, and what about the transferring of attorney? I
Right.
talked to Maloney last week. No?
Should be in the process. Monday I sent him a note authorizing him to.
He contacted
request-
me because he said that you told him to contact me to see,
Yeah,
what
I
were the
spoke to him
things.
and said that there's no problem. I said, we want to go through with this. Leave Hobel what he's has to make money on because he's already invested money in, and all the rest of it I'll transfer to you. And he said that's what he'd arranged to do.
That's up to you,
Yeah.
because that's a decision that you have to make.
Anything, obviously anything moving forward for the homeowners, residents who are changing association attorneys. We got a new attorney we think will be more effective and more responsive. Anything
I just
obviously
have
moving forward
a
goes to
few-
Malone.
You don't
That
have to
used to
vote
be-
on changing the attorney, you don't have to,
I'm
you
sorry?
don't have to take a vote
Not for anything
to
legal.
change the
No.
attorney.
No. We were all on board.
I just have a few that have been sitting with Florido, which there were the payment plans type of cases, which they have been like left behind and nothing has been done on those. I don't know, what do you want me to tell Florido, or if you want those to be transferred over?
Yeah, transfer those to Maloney.
The payment plans, the
Everything-
ones that are,
I told him.
Everything he can transfer over. If there's an issue, and obviously there may be an issue he's got in collections and he's invested time in, like Richard said, then
Any-
we're not going to
anything
fight him on
that he's
those.
not up to date,
Anything
that
that's.
we owe him money.
Right.
Right, exactly. Anything that can be transferred, transferred.
Okay,
We'd like to get the last file transferred over as soon as possible. It's just that there is a fairness involved, that he does have money invested in some of the accounts, and those accounts have to stay with him until he gave up on them No, or we told him that, okay, we give up on him because he's not collecting that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anything, I will tell him, I will send him an email letting him know that he's authorized to get everything from Florido, everything that Florido is working on that the association does not owe him anything. That the file is ready,
We
it's
just
up to
paid
date, and
$4,000, so we shouldn't know how much.
that's what I said. I think January we paid close to $4,000.
Right, so we paid
And so
$39
we should be pretty much up to date. Now,
I would like to request also, besides that, Maloney, if he could give us I don't know, just one sheet for steps. Once it gets to the office, what's the time frame?
well, I brought you something to that effect. Okay, now that you're changing attorneys, and I think that I brought it as part of my original proposal to you, which is just an example, okay, so that you can have an idea how the process is supposed to work, okay? This is like when the normal collection process is pretty much with the courts, moving along.
Do we have a
But we need
copy?
to,
We have a copy of what you're talking about.
This, what you're,
is it?
the flow chart?
Yeah. That gives you an idea how the whole process is supposed to work, okay? And normally, it can take a little bit longer depending on each specific case. And now that the courts are more like slow because there are so many cases, we have judges that they have 3,000 cases going on at the same time. Okay, so it's taking longer than usual. But in my experience, the whole process from beginning to finishing should be about 1.5 years maximum. Okay? So that's why we have to move on. How many cases do you want me to send down to the attorney?
It's all been necessary.
All of them.
All of them?
Yes, every single one that's necessary.
Okay.
All the people that haven't responded, all the people that aren't paying anything at all,
And then
they
you
don't
will pick-
care.
And then you will pick which one we're going to start with the foreclosures later on.
And we're gonna be
Right,
really,
right,
we're
We're
gonna
gonna see.
we need to go house by house and look at the house before we
Right.
foreclose on it. If we pick a house to foreclose on that's a disaster, we can be up 2 creeks with no paddles. We need to, that's why I brought you this article from the, what's this magazine called?
Sometimes even the banks are letting the association take over
They just don't
properties
wanna do
because
it.
they're not exactly.
But the consideration that we had before is a little different now, because we've already spoken with the new attorney, and he said that there shouldn't be, if any, there shouldn't be much upfront costs. The last guy was talking about fairly significant upfront costs for us to start the foreclosure
Well,
process.
they do it without.
No,
Right.
they do it without it, exactly. They don't charge you anything up front.
But that's why we change attorneys,
Only
basically.
when you're ready to file
for the
foreclosure, okay, which they'll tell you whether it's worth it or not to file foreclosure. At that point, you only pay the cost. Okay?
But if we can rent out all the abandoned homes.
Right, and I brought you a
Without
stack.
foreclosing on them, no, I don't see why we need to foreclose. We should take the abandoned homes.
Exactly.
The ones that are in decent shape, which is 3 of them on 200 Street. Just take them and rent them, no, and wait for the bank to come and foreclose.
Exactly.
The ones that are destroyed doesn't pay us to take, but we should start sending the bank, the ones that they haven't foreclosed on yet, late fees and.
We are ready.
Cleanup assessments
Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff to the bank every single month to send them a bill, because when they come back, they're gonna say, we don't wanna pay you 1 year. Well, we say, yeah, but you got all these other charges that we can charge them legally.
Right. We have, Ernesto, when we took over originally last year, he sent me at the beginning of September, a list of vacant homes. And, we found a few of them that are up to date now, okay? But we found some others, like this one with a question mark, that is not on your list. So maybe it's not pays but poor, so we need to check on that. But there are some others that are ready
We could.
that
Alright.
I mark it down. Okay, these ones, these are the balances that they owe: 7,559, 541, 6,000. I mean, these are among the list of abandoned properties. So I highlighted for you, and what we need to do, if it's okay with Henry, maybe to double check on these properties. Okay, there are not that many. 1, 2, 3.
Marco, you want to highlight mine and I'll just.
4. Five properties that if you can rent those 5, it is worth it. We don't have to do anything legally to those, like Rachel said,
Yeah.
and we can start collecting.
What's the legal precedent that allows us to rent those out?
The association is entitled to collect rent on any property or any owner that is delinquent more than 90 days. Now, obviously, if the property is empty, it's because it's abandoned.
Okay.
Okay, so the association, as long as the payments are applied to the outstanding balance, for example, this one only owes $541. I mean, I will not rent that property. Okay, but this one that owes $7,500 at $1,000, just at $1,000, considering we don't have to do much of investment on the property, at $1,000, you will clear up the balance in 7 months, 8 months.
What happens once we clear up?
Well, after you clear up the balance,
It's going to be $10, because then you got to charge them for.
The monthly.
How do we?
after you clear up the balance, it will continue on a month-to-month, but it will not be reflected here, but on your loss and profit as a rental income. Okay, so
If the bank doesn't foreclose before you
Exactly.
finish collecting.
you are entitled to keep the property. You are like the landlord of the property, and you are collecting the rent until the bank forecloses the property, or the owners file bankruptcy and they want their property back. They are entitled as long as they are up to date. Whatever money the association got has to be applied first to the outstanding balance, and the remaining balance, it goes into the rental account. It's not a separate account, it's just that on the profit and loss, it will have a separate category that it will show rental income.
So once they satisfy their balance, though, the legal precedent of us being able to rent it out carries over?
Right,
Yeah.
until the
Until the
bank.
bank forecloses.
Yeah, this is something new that began last year.
And what you said about the closet, that one?
I read it.
Yeah, why didn't we rent
Because I kept saying,
Well,
I couldn't believe it, that we could do it before.
The
we
one that owes us
foreclosed.
just $500, you said wouldn't be worth it.
No, because what I will do with that one is basically see if, we can proceed with them legally instead of, because the truth of the matter is that you're gonna rent it for a month and then,
No, that's what they're
it's
carrying
like
over.
the association doesn't have sufficient standings to say, I rented the property for a month and I've been benefiting out of that property for, let's say, a year or a year and a
It's
half.
better, so is the bank. The bank benefits with the tenant in the house.
Right, exactly.
Because the bank is getting a house that's not completely destroyed, and that is let, like that house over there in the corner that all these kids moved into and destroyed the house, took every single thing out of the house. At least
And
if somebody
probably
living there, they're
want
watching the house. I would say if it's in good condition, even though they only owe us $500, rent it. See what happens, see how long the bank takes to take over. You could collect a year's rent before the
Yeah,
bank.
we have had some properties that have been rented for 3 years without the bank even bothering into taking over the property. So it has been a very nice income for the association. I mean,
You have
it
to
has helped a
remember, the
lot.
banks are thinking of one thing. They're looking at the debt that's on the property now, and how long they have to, if they owe us $7,000, now, they know they only have to pay 1 year. So they can take as long as they want to,
Right. So that way, you know, you will start cleaning up your balances a lot faster and without having to incur in additional fees like attorney fees and so on and so forth, which is going to take you a long process. Like in some associations, what we have done is sometimes we have noticed, we have filed the liens. I mean, the attorney had filed the liens and they're ready to file foreclosure. Sometimes when the foreclosure is filed, the people move out. At that time, the property becomes empty. So the board members, they come to us, they left the property. What do? Rent it out. So we tell the attorney, stop, give me your fees through now. We put it into the account, okay, and we start collecting the rent until all that balance is clear up.
That makes sense.
Let's see.
Thank you.
Okay.
So, the ones that have question marks, I'm going to leave this report with you. The ones that have question marks are the ones that we have problems with the addresses. So you might want to check those. And the one that says okay means that they are up to date. So even though that they're abandoned, they're up to date in the list. And the other ones, you have them marked, highlighted in the back.
Well, if
So
they're abandoned and destroyed,
it's not worth it.
no, but you could put fines on them for being destroyed.
Well, if it's destroyed in the inside,
No, not the inside, I mean the
in
outside.
the outside, then, well, we know we have to go through the whole protocol of
Mhm.
what we know.
Okay.
It certainly can be done.
I'll go with Henry and do this.
Yeah. And you can find sometimes people, like the guy that we're doing it, that they might be interested in, you know, putting out of their own pocket to do some fixing. So in that case, you don't rent for the full amount, considering that this is going to be like on a month-to-month basis. And, you know, they
No
will
deposit,
put their
everything.
money, they will fix it, and you will rent it at a lower price. But you will
Plus
still
money
be,
out.
exactly, you work for everybody.
Move forward.
Okay. So you have the list, and we can start with those.
All right, I'm ready to move forward.
Everybody's good with that?
Makes sense.
Issues with W3 and W2.
Give me a minute. Okay.
Let me introduce myself. I never met, I'm looking around to see if I saw any of my old friends that used to come to this meeting when well, this is the first meeting and your name is?
Barbara
Barbara, last name?
Blanco.
Blanco.
She's our manager now.
Ah, I see. Well, I know Ernesto and all the guys that used to be here before.
It's Ernesto right there.
Ernesto, you have changed.
We all get over
I'm looking at you now. What?
I had to stop him, I had to let him know before he started to talk about you.
Looks like you put some weight on now.
it. Well, you took weight off.
Well, gee.
Didn't you take weight off, Ernesto?
Yeah.
Yes, he did.
Got to wait here.
You know,
Let me see.
you know, but
Okay.
Okay, the W3 and W2. Okay, I sent you copies of the letter from the accountant. Okay, we have completed the third quarter, fourth quarter of last year. The deposits are already set up with the IRS, so they're being made monthly. So that's already taken care of. However, he was telling me that whatever it was on the list, which, you know, I include a copy of the profit and loss from the other company as we were able to finally retrieve the data and put it into our system, doesn't show the breakdown that it was supposed to show. They give, like, for example, if you look at one of your profit and loss, which is on your report, the first profit and loss from January through August of 2011, it shows total amounts, okay? And instead of look at the second profit and loss, which is from August through December, it shows the amounts of Social Security and withholding tax, okay, being taken out of the employee. Okay. What happens is that there is this figure reported of $13,394.93 to the government. Okay. However, on the UCP6, the UCP6 is the unemployment compensation tax paid to the state of Florida. Okay, the 941 is what you pay to the IRS. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, whomever did your first quarter, they reported to the state of Florida your payroll gross of $19,813, and to the IRS $13,098. Since there is no breakdown, okay, what the accountant did, with a power of attorney signed by Nick, he was able to get the information of the state of Florida and the IRS. And that's how he noticed that they did not compare to each other. Now, we were hoping that with this report, he was going to be able to, have the breakdown of the deductions. Obviously, it's one figure. It doesn't give you like the Social Security, the Medicare, and the withholding tax. When I spoke with him today, he mentioned to me that the only way is going to be by having, there are no pay stubs. That's the other thing. Having the actual checks. We're going to have to go to the bank, or I don't know, no, not anymore.
This is getting way too complicated. Everything that was filed with the government, we have a letter from the IRS, the state of Florida, that all of our taxes are paid in full.
Your payroll taxes.
All of our payroll taxes are paid in full. The third and fourth quarter were the only things that you have to work with the first and second quarter, except for completing a set of books
That's
for the
the
end of the
problem.
year. To complete a set of books for the end of the year, we're going to have to, as far as those things go, yes, and put the figures in and send the tax. We're a non-profit organization. We have no
Yeah,
tax.
but we're talking about the W-3 and W-2 that we're going to be giving out to those employees.
Well, you have
So
to give out the
they might have-
W-3
they
and
might-
W-2 with the information that you have.
Well, that's
You're
the
not going to go
problem.
back. First of all, if you don't give out a W-3 and W-2 now, you're in violation and you're going to get penalties and fines. So there's no sense in going and investigating it. Just
It's
send
not
out.
investigating, it's just that we don't have that information. It's not part of your records. That's why they have not been able to be placed together. Okay? We don't have, like, in your records, the accounting records that Miami-Dade used to have before, you will not have the payroll information as part of, maybe they were using a separate program for their payroll. But this is like in chunks.
Well, then call Hobel. Here's what you do. 'Cause
Okay.
we paid them a lot of money.
Mhm.
Call Hobel and have Hobel have them give you an accurate payroll disbursements for from January 1st of 2011 through August of 2011. Or we're going to take them to court.
Were they in charge of doing your payroll?
Yes.
Was not the accountant
No.
firm that you had before?
No, the accountant firm was only in charge, and his records are right if you look into that disc, from January and February. But they got that and put that into their files,
Okay.
okay? Because this is stupid that we can't even send out W-2 forms
Exactly.
to our employees. So if it's not in their disc, here, and he could, I don't want him going back to the government about anything.
No, he doesn't want to.
No.
I mean, he did. It's
I
just that
have
the
a
government will
letter-
not give you any further information other than what was already
What
given
was
to you.
filed.
But
what
it's
was
filed
filed-
wrong.
But even if it's filed wrong, you can't just send out what was filed wrong to the people?
Well, he's telling me that he's not taking.
We have a letter that says we're completely current.
No, that's fine, we're not, the question is to be able to put together the first 2 quarters with the correct information,
well,
and
do
we
that.
have the other 2.
See what happens.
So that's gonna be, I guess, the only
Is that because we haven't gotten accurate records from Miami-Dade?
correct.
Whenever you send that information to Marbella, place it in an email and CC all of us.
Just,
Yeah,
We
I
all-
always try to copy.
We all,
Yeah.
we all
Also
like
tell
this.
him that he should, any expenses that are gonna be, charged to us by the government, we want them to pay, pass it on to them. Make it,
You know,
tell him to make a letter strong, because Marbella are really pussy when it comes to writing letters.
In reference to that, note that you can send over, I would suggest we ask a question to Maloney first, because once he starts putting in that, somebody can come up that we have to pay something. I know what happened in the
Oh,
past,
we're gonna have to pay for sure.
but
You want the Hobel to do it, or you
no,
want the
I
attorney
just,
to do it?
I just saying
That's
that
your
we
question?
need to ask a question to Maloney, how do we really go about that? Because what
I
happened
don't
is
want to
that
hold up on this, we can make it, I'll make a telephone
if
call to
you,
Maloney tomorrow.
if you
No, but
go to
just go
Marbella,
ahead.
And you will send him an
Who
email.
knows?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's kind of urgent, you know.
It's urgent.
It is.
You gotta talk to them.
It's urgent, and I'm saying that you need to talk to Maloney first, just because Obed can't sit on this.
Talk.
And my concern is that,
Talk, his opinion first, make sure
Okay.
whatever you do. Call for first.
and then,
Call him Hobel.
because if Hobel, you know, is
Hobel's
gonna
the
be
one that made
turning it, I'm concerned that you're not gonna go
It's
anywhere.
urgent, we have to work on that.
So I guess, I mean, it's your call, but I guess you're better off with whoever is gonna be your new
Well, then don't call Hobel
Don't
at
call
all.
Hobel at all.
Then call
Maloney, and I'll tell him what's going on.
And tell him what's going on, and tell him that you want Miami-Dade management to him to send a letter to them immediately and have that.
Because what the accountant told me was that he felt that based on what he was able to see through the actual disc, is that maybe they kept on a separate program the payroll.
Most likely.
Well, I'll call her tomorrow, too. I'll call Christine tomorrow. She calls me all the time, for no reason, I don't know why. I go, I sexually harassed her, and she calls me.
Is that,
And she calls me, I said, what do you call me for? I sexually harassed you. Honey,
Is that it?
Yeah, I guess that's it. I'll call Maloney and, we'll take it from there. Maybe, he will have to put them on notice or something in writing,
We have to.
and then you will decide.
Engagement letter to prepare.
I'll call her tomorrow about that.
Right. Okay, the engagement letter, I think that we all got an email from Mike Markowski from Bonajuda that he's unable because of the bankruptcy issues.
Well, I don't understand.
I don't know, I mean,
Well-
I mean, I'm not a professional in that matter, so I don't know why they're not able to do it.
Any accountant can do it.
I just passed that to your attention because
Maybe they're not interested or.
They're not interested, it's not they're not
With the
interested.
history and between.
I mean, you're certainly out of the bankruptcy.
They want to be hired as our accountant.
Yeah.
And you have, the records from before and the records after, so it's just a matter of putting them together. You certainly require, you're almost close to an audit, okay? And I wanted to bring that to your attention as well. Since we were able to pull the report from Miami-Dade, just between January and August, they collected in maintenance unit owners assessments, $235,180.67 in 9 months. Okay, I highlighted for you also. In our 3 months from September through December, we collected
So we're just
$137,426.
under an audit.
Okay, so you are off, we in 3 months collected almost the same thing that they collected almost in 9 months. But the thing about this is that you're almost by maybe 30 grand close to having to do an audit.
Almost every count, that's almost
So
15 grand.
you are good doing a review for last year. My only concern is that time is running and, the longer we wait, the more time. This is the heavy season for accounting.
I talked to Gina Harris yesterday because of his email to me about sending us, giving us a reasonable account that would do a review in bankruptcy, which is really simple because the debts are all right there, are laid out on paper. It's like,
Right.
this is a really simple thing. He just doesn't want to get involved, period.
That's what I think.
Can I ask you something? I'm reading this. This is what people that are not making paying and not paying the income tax or something.
No.
Because I saw somebody's name here, and I know that I am retired from New York, where I used to work, from the city of New York, and I don't have to pay no more tax. I am a retiree.
That's where you see your name anywhere.
No, my name is not there, but I'm trying
Don't
to.
worry, if your name's not there, you don't owe anything.
Unless he is
This
on.
is the monthly assessments for the homeowners.
Right, if you want to see who's on the list of delinquent homeowners, you can certainly, after we're done with the meeting,
Yeah.
go over that list. Okay?
So the only thing that would come up there is delinquent homeowners,
No.
not for.
Had nothing to
People like
do
me
with
that-
taxes or, if you pay your maintenance fee, do you pay your maintenance fee every month?
Well, I haven't been paying. I used to pay, but I haven't been paying now because, as I said, that as far as I am, I know that I am retired.
It don't matter retired or not, you still have to pay your maintenance fee. If you don't, you foreclose on your house, you take it away from you, and they kick you out of your house. No, you have to pay your maintenance fee. You can't not pay your maintenance fee. That means your neighbors are paying your maintenance fee for you. They're not going to pay your retirement. You have to pay your own retirement. No, your neighbor's going to pay for their retirement. But everybody in the neighborhood has to pay their maintenance every month. No, one way or another. No, whether they pay it by a check or we take their house and we sell their house and we collect it by that way. One way or another, the neighbors have to pay their maintenance because there's only 200 neighbors paying their maintenance out of 385 right now. No? And that means that the 200 neighbors are paying for everybody's house. The other 108, we're paying for the other 185 houses here that don't want to pay their maintenance fee. And we're not going to do it anymore. What we're going to do is we're going to start foreclosing on all those houses and we're going to take their houses away from them. So at least what we're paying for, we own.
Well, what about when I, as a matter of fact, was paying and other people wasn't paying?
Well, we're all paying. I've been paying here for 20 years.
I never seen you here at the meeting.
What's your name, sir? What's your name?
Truck.
Yeah, let me ask you a question. You don't have 20-year-old or something like that?
No,
You know how you had your-
I stopped paying.
He owes us $1,100.
He owes $1,100,
And he has
which
spoken
you
several
should
times
check.
with homeowners.
You should check immediately. Out of your retirement check. Like I get my.
Oh, that's right. You
I'm
don't know how
retired
much.
too.
Maybe you might be making much more retirement than
How
that.
do you know what I make?
I know, I said,
Whatever I
Rich
make.
Mike.
My balance is zero.
You know what to do?
We want to deal with every
Richard.
You deal with a different.
When I tell my son this drop, need to be disposed shop.
Okay.
We need to finish.
Okay, I'm ready.
We live here for many years, many years. We live here for almost
People
25
don't
years.
pay their maintenance.
So are we,
So I don't know where you come from.
we're working on finding a CPA to do the review, right?
Talk different.
Yes.
Talk.
She said she'd call me tomorrow.
We were supposed to have a presentation, but I guess they're not here. Something about the gas lines and the.
What's going on?
I don't even,
You know what I mean?
the email was like a month ago, I told them I could do it, I don't even remember exactly what it was about. I think it was about where to dig and.
You know what you call over how far it was. You should find out when if the retirees, people that are retired,
The cable location.
they even if I stayed in New York, at home, I live.
Okay.
Certain exemptions,
Let's.
paying those taxes.
Maintenance.
We'll talk after. We're almost done here anyway.
We got one
Get out of here. That was everything on the agenda. Did we have anything else pending? Like we mentioned, we are getting a new association attorney. We've already retained. His name is Eduardo Maloney. It's Fine and Maloney is the firm. Pool temporarily is closed. It's fortunate, I guess, that it's happening now when it's too cold to go swimming anyway. Apparently, they've been sending the county's been sending our renewal for the permit to run the pool to.
You realize we don't have to close the pool just because you think we were in bankruptcy?
No.
No, we don't have a permit for the pool.
Doesn't matter.
No, we didn't do that.
I know we didn't do it, but we've been released of all, we don't even have to pay it, we paid it already, but we don't even have to pay it, we've been released from that, from bankruptcy they didn't file. Okay? We don't have to pay for any permits, legally, and the pool doesn't have to be closed, but it's good it's closed anyway. Good.
If they weren't informed, it may be different, but we need to pay it anyways.
We did pay it.
$250 for the last 2 years, so
I'm taking it.
$250 a year for the last 2
We paid it.
years.
We already
So
paid it.
as soon as they get that, the inspector will come back out and take that off. It'll be okay. The lawsuit that has been hanging over our heads for almost over a year now, has been dismissed. That's one less thing where we're suing ourselves and
With prejudice.
it worked as with prejudice. It's done. There was, I'll say it now. I said it from day one. There was never a case, but it's over now. The way we worked it out, the defendants in the case, we agreed to not go after any attorney's fees. It didn't cost the association any attorney's fees for the defendants, which means they would have had the right to come back now and say, because they were falsely accused, they were wrong. They could have said that now we want our attorney's fees back. We didn't do that. So that's done. We're past that finally, and the board can work together on everything. We're not the board divided, so that's a plus. Do we need to send something, maybe Richard knows or someone knows, to Mary Jo and Gina about that, since that was part of the bankruptcy case? Richard, do you know if we need to send that dismissal to Gina and Mary Jo?
What dismissal?
The lawsuit, because remember that was part of any profits we get from that.
We could send them a copy of the dismissal, but since there were no profits made and the lawsuit's been dismissed, it's a moot point, so we don't really have to. What we do have to do is we need to get the lien that Mylon filed against Marbella Park Homeowners Association, Inc. has never been removed from our property, even though the bankruptcy court made that a moot issue also. And that lien needs to be removed because 20 years from now, when I'm dead and you were on a walker, we're there.
20 years? Easy now.
Well, getting close to being on a walker. No, nobody will know about this. We need to get the lien released now.
I'll contact them and look up any damage. They should have handled that.
Okay, this was very good. I like it.
That's all I had. Anything else?
No, I took a look at another golf cart, and I'm supposed to meet with the guy because I called him.
You put this in that one style.
I like to have one in my office. I don't know how much, but I don't, we should get new phones. It's not that it's too high, we will get it much cheaper. I'm shooting down to get black photos.
He wants to pay what he wants to pay.
I'm trying to, but then you guys got, I'm gonna take a photo and email it to you guys tomorrow, and then I'm gonna run it around, see if it works.
Mr. Trapp, we're going to go through real quick from the board, and then everybody's going to get a chance to.
Just for it. Just for informational purposes, something is wrong with the sprinkler. Because it was sprinkling some areas in the property, but it wasn't sprinkling over on that side at all, and other places. So I did just call Mike, and they're supposed to be on the property trying to. I know the last thing they told me there was 5 breakage some different places.
Are you gonna see them?
I've seen them.
Well, can you ask them to put my sprinklers back so they work again? They put a pipe down into
Well,
my...
I can ask them to come Saturday.
Uh-huh.
I can ask them to come
They
Saturday.
put a pipe down into my line.
They're not supposed to be messing with me.
No, I put my sprinklers out there to do the common area as a favor to the neighborhood because I wanted my yard to
No,
look
they're not
nice.
supposed to be messing with me. Secondly, the information on the furniture for the pool, that's there already. The only thing that I have not sent the information in totals to everyone because we was having some issues to see if we had enough money to pay them. But I can send the information and then we can.
Well, when he sends us his check, we'll be able to pay.
Rich.
All right.
Rich.
That's it. That's it. I'm good. Paul?
I'm ready to go.
Richard, you're done. Let's go around the room. Alex?
With the pool closed, are we still paying for that guard? That,
No, not at the moment.
so we don't have that extra revenue?
At least for a couple of weeks until they come back and release us, which shouldn't be too much longer.
Could he use the pool tomorrow, by the way?
Maybe on the internet.
Yeah.
Like I said before, I'm pretty small.
What do we
I
need
got
to
it
do?
on my to-do list. I gotta get in here and see what's going to happen. What comes exactly. Yeah. We got a few things we gotta get together. Yes, sir.
To remove a tree, I just have to go to Miami-Dade and get a permit.
No.
Environmental
You need that.
requirement.
You need ACC form.
Also?
Anything that you can remove in front.
I got a tree that's,
This is it.
that started to lean into my house because of the sinkhole next door.
Yeah,
Well,
I
make them
understand.
send a fine to the people that have the sinkhole next door to fix their sinkhole.
I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is that everything needs an ACC form. It's in front of your house and it is in front of your house, you need ACC form. And if you fill that out, I mean, you know where Mr. You might
You can
just
come by my house and I'll sign for
give
you.
him a call and, yeah.
Is there?
But if it's, remember now, you do have to get your responsibility to touch base with the days because some of those trees are protected. So you need
Yeah,
to
the one I
know
took out, I
what-
had to go to a judge to show him the dead tree because the city wouldn't let me take it out. I had to go to court.
Yeah.
The tree that was in front of my wall, you know, I had to.
The other requirement, I know the requirement from,
Exactly.
I know the requirement from the community in the past always been that if you remove a tree, you need to plant another one. In other words,
That's an extra tree that was there. Each house has one white oak.
Right.
I got two.
That's the one I had to take out. Well, you can take out one
He's
anyways.
got two, submit.
No one's ever gonna know.
so just fill it out and submit it tomorrow.
Okay. You guys have anything, or do you want to talk after the meeting? Mr. Travis?
Well, you know, now that I would remember now and then don't remember again. I'm not getting younger.
We'll talk after.
No, I don't remember what I was saying before.
That's right, we'll
Is there
talk
still
after.
another lawsuit pending against some attorney or
That's
everything's?
all.
No, well, you would know better there was talk, and for the last 6 or 8 months, they said that they wanted to keep the first lawsuit going so that they could transfer it at some point over and go after the attorney.
As far as I know, I spoke to Barbara's attorney that she recommended to me about proceeding against Tasman in court. As far as I know, the statute of limitations has run out on that. We can't sue Tasman in court anymore because of that whole thing that the judge ordered Scott Major to be our attorney on the case against the prior board, which was the stupidest thing I ever, they should have gone against Catskill Court right away. So, it's very depressing if you read the paperwork on all this stuff. It's very depressing because they did everything wrong instead of doing everything the right way, the way they should have done it. And they had a case, they really did have a case against that attorney, but too late. We have no pending lawsuits, thank God, though. We have no more attorney's fees we have to pay except for our normal collection attorney's fees.
Is that it? You guys have anything, comments, questions?
Well, I think Alex, my email Alex, my name is Sabrina. And I know, I read the newsletter about the security gates and about the break-ins that we've been having. And I guess my concern is about the security gate that I voiced to him was that, you know, one, we used to have the transponders, and this is my first time coming to meetings, I don't know what's been talked about in the past. And then we got switched to another one, and then we got switched to the sticker. And then now, you know, any and everybody is coming in whenever they want, they're waving them in any time. You know, I want to know what's being done about that. I mean, it's happened to me, but I've been in a car with somebody else, and they just throw their hand up, and then they're letting them in.
And we are still seeing that. They shouldn't be at all. First, part of the problem is we have two different associations.
Yes.
The other association is responsible for the west gate. We're responsible for the east gate. The cooperation hasn't quite been there, at least since we've been back. Hopefully down the road we can fix that issue. On our end, ever since we brought in the new security company, we've been telling them, and they should be calling for everybody that doesn't have a sticker. And if you don't have a sticker and you're a resident, they should be asking you for your driver's license. We're still getting reports, like you say, that you know, on Saturday I had a party and all these people came in and nobody called. Whenever that happens, we contact security. They're supposedly getting with the guard that was on duty. They're checking the security tapes, and they're trying to address it. It is a lot better than it was before. I even see it still every once in a while that it's not perfect.
They gave me a hard time.
Our problem is
Today for the first time.
blame gets put on that gate. When we complain, you know, and they say, well, they didn't come in this gate. They came in that gate. We said, no, I came in Saturday, and I stopped at the girl, and I said, you should let those people in. She said, I know them. I said, I don't care if you know them. They had no sticker on their car, you know, and you should ask for their driver's license, even if you know them. Write it down. Because they're a bunch of 17-year-old kids in the car that could be robbing the cars that are in our neighborhood, you know. We don't know. They could be really nice kids, too. I don't know that either. You can't tell by looking at people today.
Are they any plans to fix the gate so that it would operate the way it's supposed to operate?
In the future, we're looking at that after we can address the collection issue. However, the same person that Richard is speaking about has been dismissed. And since they've been here since February, we have dismissed several of them.
Yeah, there's been
security
several
guards, because we are not going to tolerate the same thing here. So when we get the complaint, we followed up with the security company. They check the tapes, and depending on how much time it has happened, they're dismissed. But that person that Richard's speaking about.
And if you happen to see it happen, like personally yourself, go and ask the guard, let me have your name. Call me, if you know how to use the computer, at Marbella Park, you can write me an email, and I'll do it the next day, make sure that they take care of it. Just ask the guard, what's your name? You know, I saw you let somebody in, you're not supposed to let them in, you know? Because we need help, we can't be...
No, but I just noticed...
Just give us the date and time that it happened,
Yeah.
and we'll go back and review the
We'll go back and look at the tape.
Now, what about, because I know what about, and I read an article about a roving security guard. Is that something that we're looking into?
We would like that.
It's a possibility as well. It's an expense that we can't quite fit into the budget right now. Hopefully we can in the near future. That would be a big benefit. You know, even just having them on a golf cart with a yellow light will deter, because most of the issues we have are teenagers. A lot of them, unfortunately, the gate issue isn't going to help because they live here or they just walk in, or they come in from the other side. And all they're doing is walking down the street, and it's gotten to the point where they just start checking doors. And when the police officer was here last month, one of the things she said, most of the reports we get of break-ins aren't break-ins. They left the car door open, and they're just checking.
Well, what happened the other day, it was not even 30 minutes, we were bringing stuff in, and he went inside, and, went not even 30 minutes later to get something, and locked the door, didn't realize till the next morning, wait a minute, something's missing. So it's, I understand what you're saying, but it's not even that you're leaving your car open overnight. You're bringing stuff in your car.
And at the same time, it's not a crime was done against you. It's not your fault. But we've got to do everything we can to protect ourselves. And sometimes it's a matter of
granddaughters painted the door and Explorer post back out of the back of the car.
Another issue I want to bring up is the speeding. And I know that was brought up. Is there any way in the future plan to get either, I've been to some communities that have those big old speed humps instead of those little bumps. I don't know, because in front of my house, I don't have children, but we have several neighbors who have children and small dogs, and cars will go flying, and kids on the ATV, is it one or two kids? I don't know what you call them, ATV or four-wheeler, and flying through the neighborhood, and those little speed bumps, they don't do anything.
The smaller bumps though.
Well, for the most part,
there's a board one. There's a board one by there. Coming in, that little one, those are better than the big one. The big one we just can't put the big one outside because like a great expense in the sense that it might damage somebody out of nowhere.
And for me, I know for the most part, at least coming through here along 83rd, for me, I can't go much past 15. If I'm hitting 20, I'm getting banged around. So
little plastic ones are moving more than the bigger ones.
No, I know what you're talking about. I know plastic ones, but I'm talking about those
they
big
slow down
bumps.
more than the bigger ones.
The biggest damage is their fault. The biggest damage is their fault.
Yeah, but
If you go to certain
but they sue you anyway, and the attorneys charge you a fortune to defend it. It's not the
Okay, but would you rather get a lawsuit or somebody's child being hit by a car?
Well, we don't control that. But what we are asking also in the newsletter is that everyone please call the police department. There's a emergency number there. We need to call. If you call the police department every day, when you see something, they eventually get posted a police car somewhere.
And they're out here pretty quick. And
we are calling.
Last weekend, or not this past weekend, the weekend before, I guess that's the same weekend you had the trouble. We got reports from all over the place over the weekend, Friday and Saturday, break-ins. Monday, right in front of my house, the cops had like 5 kids pulled over one by one, putting them in the car. So calling does make a difference.
We need to
let them know. We need to be a nuisance to the police, and then they'll have a greater presence out here. Especially with the ATVs, they shouldn't even have the ATVs on our roads.
Or the motorcycle, even around the lake. You can't walk around the lake without
if it doesn't have, we should call the police. Every time. We need to do that, and that sort of falls on everybody. If you see it, call them. Don't send us an email, not because we don't care. Send us an email after the fact anyway, but we might get the email six hours later. It doesn't do anybody any good. We need to address it as a community, and then we do what we can, and we'll start enforcing whatever we can. But somebody jumps in their garage, gets in their ATV, and goes running around for 20 minutes around the lake, and we're all at work, and nobody else says anything, there's nothing we can do about it. So we need the police. We need to use the police. We get a lot of reports. The teenagers come walking through here. Just a couple weeks ago, I came over here for something, and saw 6 teenagers come and sit on the wall over there, and immediately I smelled it. They were smoking marijuana. I called the cops. They were gone in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I called the police today. There were 4 teenagers in back of my house smoking marijuana.
I've seen.
And the police came and picked them up and took them right away back, hopefully back to their parents. give them a spanking.
And little by little, if we do that, they'll go to the next neighborhood.
Yeah, they
won't
won't come back
they'll
in
stay in their
back.
backyard, or at least they won't come here because we're making it uncomfortable. You know, if it's kids, they don't want to mess with it. If the cops aren't coming, which they haven't been for years, it's a free-for-all. Well, what do we care, you know? We sit back here, drink our dad's beer, and smoke pot, and do whatever, because nobody's saying anything. But if we say something, it'll make a difference.
And
Yeah.
this is something going?
I'm sorry?
Because you said for years,
Well, for a long time, nobody, you know, this was going on, and nobody would call the police, and no, you know, so it wasn't being enforced. Yes.
Hi, there are two issues. One, that stop sign around the perimeter of your guys' house, you know, that curve, nobody respects it.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, you know, they race, when they see you, they race to try beating you across the thing. Maybe we should put something, you know, to stop them, some of those humps.
If there's an
And
accident,
and the stop sign has to be turned a little bit too.
if
Well,
there's
instead
an
of respect the street, they run over, right over my lawn. No, instead of going around the curb, they hit my stop sign. Did you see my stop
Right by
sign?
your house, that's one of the worst.
They run,
They never stop.
instead of going around the curb, they run right through my lawn. And during the street guys, they must be really high people living here.
And over here, the same thing over here. That first street past the lake coming on to 197, they never stop because there's a big field. You can see if a car's coming,
I
they just
take
come
my car
whipping
and
around.
that in all the time.
And if somebody, a couple of weeks ago, we were driving by and somebody had broken down right there. And I said, if we sit out here 10 minutes, somebody's going to hit that car. Because they come whipping around looking that way to see if anyone's coming. All of a sudden, oops. We gotta.
Another thing too, we need permits for the security cameras that we put in front of the house, underneath the soffits.
Permits or
Well,
from us?
address the
I don't think we need to, I wouldn't say we need to approve it. That's for the security of your house.
Put cameras in the
Do it, I'd encourage it. As long as they're not have them and they've never broken in, it's a deterrent. Even if it's a dummy camera, a kid's gonna look at it.
That are trying to open the doors, you know?
Yeah. We'll catch them.
Yeah, but-
Marbella police.
A year and a half ago, when the car came and ran into my tree in front of my house and knocked it over, we were able to find out who it was based on
The
the
cameras today, because I have cameras inside my house, I don't have it outside, I have it inside my house in the lighting, they're over the whole house. And the cameras today are so tiny
You can tell that
that you can't see them at all. Don't buy those great big things because they're a waste of money. Those little teeny things are really good. Now I have in every socket in my house, in all the rooms, is a camera, in all of them. And you can't see the cameras.
Personally, for the outside, I say put something they can see.
Yeah.
They can outside.
It's better to deter them. It's better to deter them than to catch them. I mean,
Yeah, the
if they
outside
still
you
want to
put
do it, you can still catch them, but it's better to deter them. Okay.
Do we have any more stickers for cars?
I'm sure we do.
Yes.
We do?
Yes.
Who has them?
up in the back.
Okay, because, wow.
I got a new car, I got a new sticker, brand new car.
I asked
brand new sticker.
the people that say, here,
That's
they don't
okay.
know that, because I asked them a couple of times, they said, they just say, no, they don't have them, so we have to let them know that.
We have had it for several months now.
Okay, so I guess I gotta get in touch with you.
That's where you know that anyone asks for something like that, they should be referring it to management.
Yeah, they are not doing that. I asked myself a couple of times, and they always say, no, we don't have them. They don't even, you know.
So like the second is part of the game,
I call them.
you know?
No, it's to put on the cost.
Cigars, something comes to
Did you,
Yeah,
sir?
give it to them.
Did you have any comments?
It's not good.
We wrap it up? All right.
I'm gonna go against those.
Done with our business? We close the meeting?
So move.
Second?
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.